Thanks for coming to the Frontline Teams Get Left Behind in the Customer Experience Tech Evolution, which we're going to have a little discussion on. It's funny, they call this a tech demo, partner tech demo, and yet you're not actually allowed to demo any tech. So they should probably change the name, but we're going to talk about technology. That's as far as we're going to be able to go. A little bit about myself. I'm the president and CEO of InTouch Insight. We do customer experience management. Our origins go back to 1978 in customer feedback management using mystery shopping and site audits, and then into surveys and into forms and checklist automation and software. So we've evolved over the years. And my personal background is actually operations. I've been with InTouch for about 7 years. Prior to that, I've owned a convenience store, I've owned a restaurant, I've worked for people like Pizza Hut, back when PepsiCo owned restaurants. Those of you are old enough to remember that. I ran about 700 of those. I also ran a zone for Frito-Lay. I worked for Mars, Unilever. So all that to be said, my kind of background is in running things on the operational side. And so we've kind of taken that into the customer experience management space, and we're trying to marry the two a little bit in terms of how we've done with our product. We all know technology is moving fast, and we also know it's giving us some pretty cool things, right? But are we leaving the front lines out? And that's kind of the question I'm going to pose to you today: is are we leaving out, the employees where the rubber hits the road? Now, why we care about the front lines is a question that you almost don't need to ask, because everyone's like, well, of course we care, right? It's intuitive, it's obvious. And I'm going to ask, how much we act like it will be one of the challenges that I'll give. And I'm going to give some examples today from food service, from hospitality, petro convenience, only because everybody eats in restaurants, everybody stays in hotels, everybody fills up their car. But at a Forrester conference, the number of industries in the span, it cuts across pretty much everything you can think of. Lots of call centers, lots of telco, lots of, you name it. I want you to think about the principles as opposed to trying to figure out, how a dirty washroom applies to your business. Right? Think about the principles of empowerment in the employees and how it applies to what you're doing. Most organizations, right, leave the operational execution to the folks who are in operations. And that's where it should be. I mean, that's their job. Right? At the same time, right, operations generally do their very best, right, to provide the excellent customer service that's expected, to deliver on the brand promise, right? They want to do those things. The tooling, typically, and the systems that operations uses are very uncommon that they are tied to any of the systems that are tracking the data for the voice of the customer and the other things that are coming as far as inputs. So what we wind up with is it's difficult to determine necessarily the return on the investment that people who are actually at the front of the organization, who are executing within the organization, it can be very difficult to determine if their efforts are returning the results that they need to return. Imagine if we actually had employees at the executional level of our organizations who knew that the activity that they were doing actually delivered a change to the business result that they're being measured on and that the business cares about. You would get true employee engagement at that point, right? And that's what we're going to try to talk about. So I'm going to agree to a few things here too, because platitudes are, this is customer experience management. So anywhere you go, anyone you talk to is going to agree to a whole set of things that we're just going to agree are things. So I'm just going to agree to them right up front, right? We're going to agree that companies need to embrace customer-centric from the top down. It can't be just the bottom up, it has to be from the top down as well, right? Making it easier to receive feedback doesn't just get you more negative feedback, it gets you more positive feedback, which is great because positive feedback also helps to engage employees. And we know that if you have engaged employees, that's the way to deliver long-term sustainable customer excellence, right? It ties together. Right? We also know that customers participate with the brand from the outside in. We no longer control our brands in the world to a large degree. The world talks to us, whether we like them to or not. Right? Companies will always have hard times. Companies will always have problems. It's how companies deal with those problems. It's how we react to our customers. It's how we get through any issues that tends to set people apart from customer experience. And finally, digital feedback is here, but so is contact feedback. We need them both. They have to be measured together. It all has to live in one place. So that's like 6 little boxes with like all the platitudes you're going to hear for 3 days from me in one slide. So we're just going to agree to that right up front. And that's what we're trying to solve for. Okay. Let's take a look at the history of technology now. We are going to flip into the technology space since that's what we're going to talk about. Originally, it was all human contact. It was all person-to-person human contact was how we got things across, right? Then we moved on to the ability to transcribe information in some fashion. Right, we moved to there. Then we moved on to the telephone, which was a great invention that allowed for some very neat things, including, what we now call call centers, or we call, 1-800 numbers. I can tell you that, in the industries I was in, that was rolled out as a complaint line. Was the first usage of that telephone in terms of getting things to come in. Fax machines were then born from the telephone, right? That allowed for structured surveys to start taking place. Now we could start asking people at this point. We started structuring the surveys and reaching out and asking people about what was going on in a way that we could capture and control the information. And then the magic happened. The World Wide Web came about. And we not only had computers, but we had a way for computers to talk to each other in a very efficient manner. That took 3,700 years to get from transcription to the World Wide Web. And some of you are laughing, like, how could he know that? Well, the first recorded complaint is in the British Museum on a stone tablet about the grade of copper someone received in ancient Babylonia. And it was 750 BC. So it has literally been 3,700 years from transcription of a problem through the World Wide Web. Now, for the World Wide Web, okay, you wind up looking at email, right? That was the next big thing that changed communication. And I think everybody in this room probably has been answering them all day. Now we started asking people for feedback. Now we had these World Wide Web, we had the computer, we still had the phones, we still had all these other things. We started asking, outreach, right? We wanted people to give us information on our service. We started asking for it. And that was great. We started getting lots of it. But then an interesting thing happened. They started giving it to us anyways. Right? It started coming in at us from all over the place. It came in from social media. We had rating sites. They not only started telling us everything and telling their friends everything about us, they started rating us. We started getting stars. It used to be we kind of told them what to think of our brand, right? Then you had audio and video and multimedia, right? And all of this data capture has happened. So how long? 30 years. Right? It took 3,700 years to go from a stone tablet to the World Wide Web, and since the web's been invented, 30 years to go from there to here. And that pace is accelerating, right? Where we go is going to only get more interesting as we go forward. You've already got, right, talk into the phone. You can stand wherever you are, whether you're in front of a logo or a brand, or just in the street. You can just talk into your phone and complain or tell good stories or say whatever you want. And that can be global in seconds from the minute you finish talking to it. Right? We've got devices that we talk to that talk to other devices now to help us do things. And of course, there's an interesting security concern currently around, some of these products. But those are going to get solved. They're not going away. We're going to continue to interact with machines and with equipment. We've got watches. We've got Google glasses. We've got you name it. I am pretty confident my kids are going to tap some, chip in their wrist at some point when they want to talk to me in the future or send me a message. We're moving very, very quickly. And what that causes is unstructured data from a technology standpoint. You're no longer controlling the structure, the inflow, the way it looks and feels and how you process it. So whatever you're doing right now, you have to make sure that anything you're doing internally or vendors you're working with can handle unstructured data as well as structured data, right? Which typically means things like object-oriented databases and other type of technology that you need to deploy in order to make sure you can do those transcriptions and make them mean something. Because another thing you hear a lot of is actionable intelligence, right? Well, to get there, you have to do something from here, and this is where we're all going to be very, very shortly. Much more so than I'm sure everybody here has the concept of survey fatigue is well ingrained in their language. Nobody answers a 30-question survey with 3 branches that goes as high as 60 if you did too many things, right? Nobody answers them anymore. Or if they do, it's 4, give me my coupon. Right? And so, this is the new world that we're heading into, technologically speaking. The good news is SaaS is starting to make things easier. SaaS, of course, is software as a service, right? And the ability for vendors that have SaaS to provide you things much, much cheaper than they ever have and much, much more robust is now here. And that's the great news. Surveys, for example. Obviously, I'm going to show pictures from our platforms because it's the only people that will let me have pictures. But survey platforms now, you can drop and drag. It's WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get. You can move questions around. You can edit on the fly. You can see what it looks like on an iPad or a phone. You can drop your own background, your own branding, your logos. And this isn't stuff you need to pay a vendor for, or that you need to put in a change order to your IT group for. This is stuff that any admin in your organization now can just go and do, right? It's available. You can even do language translations. I mean, our software allows you you want to do a language that isn't English? What language do you want? Put your own translations in, and then people can serve the survey in the language that you want them to, right? Add in videos, add in audio, right? All the links. You can do it all yourself now. You no longer need vendors to handle this stuff, right? SaaS is making the world easier for us, okay? Similarly, in information reporting, we've made huge advancements across the whole space on this. We've now got customized dashboards where, again, you can go do your own. You don't have to use the one the vendor wants you to use. You don't even have to have them, you don't have to pay professional services. Just go in and make a new widget and say, I want to see this and I want to see it look like this, right? And you can do it by role, by individual, by group. You can do whatever you want. You can go in, if you don't like dashboards, you can go in and just your dashboard can be a report showing you what your top problems are. You can go and have a journey map dashboard, right? Which I'm sure we've all familiar with journey mapping. You can have a journey map dashboard and wire all your data sets into any way you want to view it, right? Which I think is one of the cooler ways to view data these days, given the unstructured problem. So what have we got, right? Survey and data collection tools, we're all over it, technologically speaking. We're advancing, we're doing well, right? Dashboard and analytics, yeah, we're all over that as an industry. We're all over this stuff. What's the future focus? So that's when I took a look and said, okay, so where are we going to be looking in the future? Where are people focused? And I took an example from food service, and I think these examples I'm using because everyone knows them, but it translates. I don't think it changes by industry. The National Restaurant Association, they say that technology, right, helps increase sales, 4 to 5. People agreed that, right? They said the technology makes their restaurant more productive, and they say that the use of technology in a restaurant provides a competitive advantage. So they all agree. 80% of restaurateurs agree that's what they want to do. So what are they focused on? Okay? Well, they're focused on, customer ordering, loyalty programs, payment options, right? Robotics and automation. Nothing in this focus here that I can see, except maybe replacing staff, is doing anything that's going to help the employee. Right? It's going to help anybody in the front line actually deliver the customer service. We already see it, right? I mean, you can see the things on tables, you see the payment systems, you see the kiosk ordering. Let's look at McDonald's. McDonald's has an app now, right? They have delivery that they do themselves. They also have third-party delivery, right? And they're gamifying their own apps. This is from Japan. It's a Kazuzu coupon thing, gaming. The best way to talk about it is, Monopoly that we have in North America, and but you can still get the map in store and you collect the pieces. Well, in the future, that's going to be this, which is you collect the stamps on your phone and you get your coupons on your phone. I mean, in the future, Monopoly shouldn't be a piece of paper and tabs are pulling off we have to pull off the end of a cup. They should be on somebody's mobile device, and I guarantee that's where it'll go. I mean, they're already doing it in Japan, right? Things are just moving so quick around this type of technology. Right, but what about the frontline employees? So what have we done for them in this industry as an example? Well, we gave them portion control, right? We gave them measurement tools to make sure they don't get inventory and make sure we can make sure everything's inventory correctly. We've given them cameras, right? Which we say is for their personal safety. It's also for loss prevention, right? And a number of other uses that can be used for. But we have given them better point of sale. So in all fairness, point of sale terminals are getting better all the time, and they have been getting better point of sale. What about food? What about hospitality? Hospitality, from an industry standpoint, is pretty edgy when it comes to technology generally, right? They tend to, like even the elevators now, you have to punch your floor number, and then it automatically, magically takes you where you want to go in lots of hotels. You no longer, have to get in the elevator and push a button. Well, they're into mobile communications and automation right now, big time, right? Automated food ordering from your phone, and you can have it come right to your room. They're doing, obviously, near-field communications, right? So smart keys, having messages delivered right to somebody's phone when they walk through the lobby or through the hotel. Obviously, the Internet of Things is something that they're using as well. Whether that's wireless charging in your room, or you can see in the photo there, you can check the weather and check your stocks by typing on your mirror in your hotel room, right? They have also, obviously, green tech, because energy conservation saves a lot of money when you have big footprints. They're using chatbots quite a bit right now as well for handling simple issues. And that's what a lot of the focus is right now. What's coming fast in hospitality, as an example, is digital conference facilities and the ability to handle that. Walls, interactive walls that you can just type on and tap on. You've got virtual reality. They use it in the hotel for determining if you want to go on an excursion. They can show you what you want to go before you buy it. They also use it outside the hotel with tourism to get you to come to the hotel or to get you to come to the country. Infrared scanners are cool. That a maid can come down the hallway and they can actually point out that there's at the wall, and they can see if there's anybody in the room or not. So instead of tapping or waking somebody up or seeing, hey, look, there's people in the room, they don't go in. If there's nobody in the room, they go in and clean the room, right? You got robots. This is a hotel in Japan, okay, where that's a dinosaur and that's not a person. And I like it because I just want to be checked in by a dinosaur. But this hotel is fully robotic. Obviously, in the back end, there's employees doing things, but it's basically fully robotic. It's the bellboys, everything. And what's interesting about that is it does not charge more. It's not like the ICE hotel, it's a gimmick. They actually are less expensive than hotels in their class in the area, right? So lots of technology. What do they do for the front line, right? In all fairness, they've done more than a lot of places have done for the front line. They at least have tablets. Maids have tablets on carts. People have tablets. But they're just at infant stages of getting any kind of applications or usage on there for them to use, right? And they're the cutting edge. So, right, this is my favorite example here. This is the washroom checklist, right? You go to a convenience store, a gas station, or whatever, you go to the washroom, they have this in the back of the door so that you can see that no one has cleaned that washroom for 4 hours. They want you to know exactly how long it's been since anyone has tried to clean that washroom. And that's great, but it's unnecessary in today's modern world, right? SaaS allows for self-serve checklists, right? Just like I showed you the survey example. You can go and create checklists for anything you want, for any task you want. It doesn't have to be for frontline employee. It could be for supervisors, for managers, for the person running the call center. Anything that you want to get tasks and that you want to do, any form of repetition, you can just do it through a checklist. You can create your own, and drag and drop, WYSIWYG, right? Go in and schedule groups and different things, schedule days, so that people actually know when they're supposed to do it, right? It's all available. It's SaaS tools. Again, I'm showing mine because it's the only one I got. But these tools they're cheap, they're available, they're prevalent, okay? So why are we doing this when the person could be using that? And here's what I try to explain the big difference or why I care about this, right? This is just a very simple example of a washroom. But think about any employee anywhere. If you're in a situation where the operations team is told, go improve X, right? How do they know how to address that? Like the washroom seems like the simplest possible thing, right? So if I say, well, go operations team, go fix the washroom cleanliness, because our customers, through our voice of the customer program, through social media, through all of our data, clearly tell us washrooms are too dirty for them. Go fix it. Okay? And they'll try to move that metric, and they'll try 80 different things, but they don't know at this point whether or not their standards were being followed. Because if everyone's following the operational standards today, the customers are telling you to change your standards, change your training, do some upgrades. They're telling you to change at the head office down. If your stores we're not following the standard, then you're being told, start following your standards so we can determine if that in fact meets your customer expectations. But how do you know that if you don't know what your standard execution is? Right now, most things that are being done in any kind of organization at the level where the work gets done, it gets thrown away, it gets tossed, it's not tracked, it's not cohesive. So I'm saying throw everything into something that can track the data, that can monitor, measure it, and bring it back in. So later you can look and say, hey, you know what? These places do the following, they're getting way better results than these places that aren't doing it as well. Or that these places are doing something different and they're getting the best results. Don't throw away all this frontline data. Give them some technology so that you can take advantage of it too, besides helping them, right? So my challenge is really simple. Continue to look for the latest, newest ways to collect customer feedback. Got to do it. Continue to engage, right, with better reporting. Continue to drive actionable intelligence. We're all working on artificial intelligence and all those good things, predictive analytics, sentiment analysis. We're all doing it. Stay with that. Don't change those two things. But start to combine the data and intelligence, right, with technology to help the front lines. Find a way to get information that closes a loop so that you can learn what the return on the investment of all of the labor for all the people that are delivering the services day in and day out for your organization, which is different than almost all tooling does today. Okay? This is a very short presentation. My time's ticking down. We do have a booth up by where the Forrester analysts meet at the end there, where the meeting rooms are. If you want to come talk to me or anyone on my team, or get any demonstrations or learn more or talk more about this, I'll also be around for a little bit right now if you want to chat for a bit. I think I have like all 6 seconds, so I'm not sure if I can take any questions. But were there any questions? No? All right. Thank you very much for your time.